and he's not performing, as Augie said, on the field. So he's not much use to anybody at the moment. And I think if I'm Jadon Sancho, I just got to look myself in the mirror and say, play better, work harder, and don't get in some sort of ongoing tiff with your manager, because there's only going to be one winner. Look, United are not missing Jadon Sancho on the pitch, really, for all the reasons that Augie said. Now, maybe there is a player in there that is going to come out at some point and perform, but it looks, there's certainly been nothing in the last year and a half to suggest that's going to be the case. And it's just another problem for the manager. But as Mark said, when you're not deleting your tweet either, or whatever way he posted it, then that's kind of rubbing salt in the wound. So there only ever is one winner here, and it will be Erik ten Hag. So Jadon Sancho just has to sort himself out, and we'll see how this pans out.
Craig, one thing that I've been told, speaking to people at United over the last couple of days, is that a lot of the players aren't happy with Sancho, that they basically lost a little bit of patience with him. Now, a lot of fans haven't been able to grasp that. I think they think that that's just suggesting that he's unpopular because of who he is. But I think the idea is that in training, he's not doing what is expected of him. And as a former player, do you get that? Do you have players or teammates that you can see out putting it in training and are basically letting everyone down and frustrating the players because they're not pulling their weight, I guess?
Oh, absolutely, Mark. And I several players, and particularly my time at Celtic, when things changed at boardroom level and different players came in. And, I'll give you an example. Ayo Berkovic actually was actually a player who actually trained and performed pretty well, but he was an absolute pain in the butt in the dressing room, got on with nobody, and it really sort of split the dressing room a little bit. The other guy would be, and I'm not suggesting he'll let anybody down, but I think when I look at somebody who kind of sense wasn't committed when he came to Celtic, it was Mark Viduka. Now, Mark Viduka came in, super talented player, but went missing for a month or two off the back of just signing, and Fergus McCann, the owner at the time, dispatched himself to Zagreb to try and find him. And once I left the club, not long after that, apparently there was a bit of a scrap in the dressing room over lack of effort in a game which you'll remember when Celtic lost to Inverness Caledonian Thistle in the Cup, and at the time it was a huge giant killing. And I'd only been left the club a couple of months, and apparently in that dressing room at half time, things got very feisty. So when you have players like this that on the face of it don't seem committed, it rubs other players up the wrong way. If I'm in that dressing room, right, and I'm not trying to say any of us were the perfect professional, not at all, but when you're in a dressing room and you're trying to achieve something, and there is somebody quite clearly not on the same page, in my experience, senior players, Augie, will pull that player to the side and say, you sort yourself out. You need to do this better. You need to do that better. You need to figure this out. Now, if that player doesn't take that on board and basically sticks two fingers up at the senior players, there's not a lot you can do about it. There's not a lot you can do about it. It's then over to the manager. But my experience of any player, whether they be a young player or a senior player, who for whatever reason decided to mail it in, was you have to, as a group, speak to that player. And I would imagine there's probably one or two at least at United have taken Sancho and others aside and say, listen, you need to be better.
Well, like I said, plenty of problems, it seems, for Manchester United, not just that result and performance against Arsenal. We mentioned how they do have quite a number of big-name defensive injuries. Then there's also the potential that they could lose Onana for about a month, pending his confirmation that he's not just coming out of international retirement for the one game if he does.
But is there any good news coming out of United at the moment?
There's no good news. That's what I was saying. It's like it's absolutely doom and gloom. Augie, you're up there in Manchester. From the whispers that you may be hearing, how do they right this ship so it doesn't look like the circus that we have seen at Old Trafford for many seasons already?
Can I just add that as well, the share price had a record drop on the New York Stock Exchange on Tuesday as well. So £500 million wiped off the value of the club. So that might be good news for the fans. It might make the Glazers want to sell. But anyway, I digress. Is there any good news?
How do they write it?
No, I thought Rasmus Højlund looked decent. I think Rasmus Højlund might actually be a way that they can write it, because I thought he brought some work rate to the forward line at Arsenal when he came on for 20 minutes. And that that sounds like a kind of a basic, but Man United's forward line hasn't worked very hard for the last 2 or 3 years. And I think with Højlund in the team, they'll work harder, they'll put more pressure on opposition defences, they'll make it easier for United to play. So maybe he is the glimpse of light, but obviously he's a young kid and he can't say at 20 years old he's going to be the salvation. But I'm looking for thin pickings there. I know I actually think I'm quite downbeat at times, but I'm trying to be positive, you know what I mean? So I think Rasmus Højlund is the ray of light down the tunnel somewhere. But yeah, listen, things can get better, but they might not get better quickly. They might look. Lisandro Martinez went off injured at the weekend as well. I do worry about the back four, that they've got a goalkeeper behind him who's very good with his feet, but people that like Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka aren't very good with the feet. So it'll take time to find the way. But United have got Brighton at home next, so there you go. That's a cheerful thought, isn't it?
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis, and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.